is December 12th. It's Monday, December 12th, 2022. I'm in this. Um, I went out this morning and I did the 2 hour round trip exercise, cardiovascular attempt at exercise. Um, Again, I try to use the words that I know to speak to my father, almost to see if I could gauge a reaction. And it's kind of like I use a bit larger words. I've used small words all my life, small talk, but I tried using the larger vocabulary. I'm like, so I went out there and I was doing cardiovascular work, vasodilating, increasing respiration, increasing cardiac output and input. And so trying to detoxify, and he just wanted to railroad and just talk right over me, and I'm about something else completely. And I'm like, and if you only knew what I was trying to say, but I know it has no like there's some kind of cognitive dissonance between my words that I say and I know to be a fact and truth of whatever the collective consciousness is here and wherever you're at in your conference calls and whatever else you do. So there was a little break in our reality today, even though it was consistently one spatial frame of time frame. Speaking as a star in a system, and then quantifiable realm work being what it is, it gets a little difficult. Some of these words, like with some of the showbiz kids, in like, I don't know, in what might they interpret it to be in their level. I've heard at the kitchen table in the residence here in New York, Lynn and Lou have gotten angry before, said words like bigot and racist. And of course, my fanciful method of like, now what does that mean to you? And where is that like ever used in a normal conversation? Because for me, it's never come up in conversation. These are words that get thrown out there, but it sounds very showbiz in like bicameral, bifurcated, some kind of like right back at you, kid. Because in other places, those two words definitely sound like loyalty and fidelity. I'm just saying it all depends on the crowd that you pander to. At like, where did my family branch and tree go? I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so in tribal mentality, when you're a star-born, knowing you're a birthing star system and somebody actually cares about you, wants to see you succeed, maybe has some fancy way of explaining that like you arrived around the same time, like magic escalator, like whatever. That's like a thing just between like the two of you in like I don't know where it would ever come up. On my end, being stuck in a series of rooms and everything have gone horribly wrong while somebody else is living the life of O'Reilly. So there's that. And still an American, still birthed a star. I produced a body. They sent a magic escalator representative from my star system to the birthing table to catch the child as this extra special body came in, to then proclaim and enunciate to the rest of the congregation that the Prince of Peace is here. Yet it never filtered back into anything that was relatively fashioned in a way that I needed. considering other pieces had been withheld or acted upon in an unfavorable manner prior to. I mean, I quantum leaped to get to the family member I needed to I was much better happy on that side of the quantum relatable formula. I never wanted to have or birth the child in this dimension, but here we are. So without scandal being taken into like any whatever, because the scandal happened well before the child arrived. I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know what happened to the world. I don't. I don't know why there are showbiz pieces now on television that are talking and carrying on this conversation about bigotry won't be tolerated and all this other stuff. And I'm like, right, okay, so they already know who who are in fact treasonous because there's a Star King on the field and a body has been produced, but yet the public's being misled and management's not working in concert to a acceptable manner, because in tribal mentality there is a leader of the tribe. Usually they call him a chief. And if there's not a discernible, like, how do they choose the chief? Some place it's a birthing order, but in some tribes at some point there is this layover of no, there's hierarchy even amongst tribal chiefs of star order. And if you have a female birthing star unit, normally she is like one of the most desirable marrying types. Where I'm unclear is where the failure to produce the correct male figure in a long-term formalized union happened. Questions that were asked when I was a youth to I don't know who was on the other end of the phone to protect whoever needs to do whatever they need to do, and they knew it before. They don't want to get wrapped up in a whatever, but there is real serious problems with between my youth and then where children started arriving. And I was a birthing star system, so I know it's on file. I know there were fights over it. I just don't know how they pushed me into oncoming traffic rather than whisking me away to safety to whichever family member I was delighted to birth for in birthing star systems. The place I never wanted to leave. The person I never wanted to leave. It's quantifiable and quantum relatable because there was a quantum leap done for calibration purposes, knowing where the rest of the system was pulling and knowing that it would be unacceptable to break the level of peace that I was born for. Prince of Peace being the produce of my existence. I still produce that peace. Where are the pieces of humanity that know about it and know that nothing else matters except getting me from where I am now to whom I wanted to be with and needed to be with for this star birthing piece? And there's some cleanse or purge in the system of the pieces that are causing the very real problem. I mean, there's terraform, TERRAFORM at Planetary. Where are those pieces? I didn't jeopardize my own mission, my own objective. I didn't jeopardize my future relationship. That's humans who got involved and do all sorts of things to hurt the desired expected result and outcome. So I don't understand how they're still participating in some format when the desired outcome was never accomplished. So they put out these showbiz words like bigotry and racism, which I can't really, I mean, again, I'm cognitively dissident from them because I'm like, in another part of the world or another part of a conversation that never gets heard in plain light, those two words are somebody else's version of loyalty and fidelity at protecting women, children, business, security. I mean, it all at cybersecurity and atmospheric conditions. I'm edging on the side of caution and saying something happened in the family tree and the branch and broke. And I got space and time and body on the field that needs some real serious whatever. And I hear a whole lot of things. I don't comment on them normally. I don't have a space or a forum where they would even come up or be relevant. There's somebody else's campaigning words, it feels like. But it feels like it's taken a shift, almost in that Pinocchio method of, if they break down BIG, and then it looks like OT is usually overtime. Either overtime, world time, oligarch time. All three fit. BI is in bifurcated, or is that an 8 and a 1, a little I? And then there's the G component at builders. But again, that's Masters of the Universe, isn't it? In somebody's reality. But at star systems, when there's a birthing universe, again, if somebody was in building of software engineering and programs, that's where these key differences really come in, is at coding inside of a blank canvas of programmable space. So I'm not sure how they left my piece just so exposed in like whatever this is. Because there is a section of the population, they've left me amongst the vulnerable with the Prince of Peace, with no way to care for myself, no way to whatever. But yet, as a star system and as the creator of the Prince of Peace, which is the body that is produced, which brings conceptual and dimensional and physicality to the theoretical. There's practical in the theoretical, with this theology. It takes on a whole new context and contest. And again, singularity of man, if a challenge is brought up against them, they crumble, they fold, they fall. They're frauds. You're only protected by and within a star system that you're helping build and create. And currently, mine is in such a dysfunction, they're not even acknowledging or taking care of me. I mean, there is a congregation that still exists, do not get me wrong. The mother and father of that ministry looks very family oriented. Um, in like a visit from Nicholas himself in my youth. But so I know they still exist and they still carry on, and I'm trying to participate in the best way that I can. There's just other circumstances in this building temples to Solomon. I'm like, is that like a ziggurat reference? Is that cognizantly dissident beings somewhere else in the system that is doing something in New York? Like, is that the Adams administration side, or is that because the Adams family side seems to think it's one thing? And again, bicameral views and bifurcated views of varying levels of branches and arms, legs, and navels being as fickle as they are in whatever they're doing. Um, so I'm just trying to thread for myself some kind of cosmic fabric that makes sense, because I know where my entry point is, and I'm not a single entry either. I'm a single entry with birthing features. Um, so I am not clear why they did not give me a spiritual or a Holy Ghost or a Holy Spirit level echelon um, in the system. The system that I arrived to before I arrived as a birthing system, which again goes back to like high level, sophisticated aeronautics in birthing systems, and then parallel systems, and then branching systems, things that they don't teach to the common, like, well, I mean, not in my time frame, although I've seen it in outcrops that they've been teaching it to somebody. I just haven't been a participant and haven't been asked or allowed to that level of education in systems building. um Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken. And then I was in the basement with some of the children yesterday, and there were some younger children around Anthony's age speaking to this other woman, and they were like, "Aren't you from the Kennedy Center?" And the woman was like, and I was just walking my son somewhere in the building, and I'm thinking to myself, right, there's Space Agency, there's Kennedy, and there's Johnson Space Centers, or so I've heard. No idea how that's relevant in family, past presidential family issues. Again, I've been stuck in a series of rooms all by myself, and the way the intelligent design has fabricated my walk while I was waiting for proper suitor or formal suitor in order to join with in companionship and fidelity and so on and so forth, in the way it was supposed to be, not the way that it was railroaded into. Um, it looked like Johnson was the one who wanted to be like in my face or around my person. Bentley was there too. Um, those are the two they chose as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Um, while I was maintained slightly at the Glen. Um, there was then St. John as far as the Episcopalian tie in. Then later on, it was St. John in Astoria, which again for Libre di Italiano is Astori. I saw that in Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Astoria, right? A story, right? That's where Louis was for a while before he became Bay side. He was Astoria. And Pinocchio was my grandfather. He always sketched it, always by hand on his easel or his drafting board. I saw him draw Pinocchio so many times, and he would tell me the stories. He was like the level of Geppetto in America um, before I arrived. So there's that. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies, broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.